Hello and welcome to today's video, and this video has been provoked by a comment in the comment section saying why are motorhomes so expensive? If everybody stopped buying a vehicle, then the prices would go down. Well, that to a certain extent is true, maybe. I don't actually think it would exactly make the prices go down, and more likely would make the producers actually go bankrupt. At the beginning of May 2024, Hymer UK announced a loss. So the loss was around £6.5 million approximately, and that's on top of last year's loss of approximately £4.7 million. Hymer in the UK is based in Consett, County Durham. It uses the brand largely Eldis, which is manufactured in the United Kingdom. Eldis comes from the word Siddle. It was started by, as a transport company, by Mr. Siddle, and I'll tell you more about him either later or in another video. Now, what does this mean? The reason for this loss is, according to the company, that it had to freeze its prices for 2 previous years, and also because of the freeze in prices, it still though had to accept all of these problems produced by the supply chain difficulties which happened as a result of COVID, and in some cases are not even resolved even yet. So this shows to me that if everybody's just stopped buying vehicles, then this is more likely to have the effect of putting the companies out of business. Now, this is just, of course, in the United Kingdom. It doesn't refer to Hymer businesses in other countries. Above all, it doesn't refer to that in Germany, which is many times greater. But and also another thing with the United Kingdom is it has its own particular problems related to supply chains, which the current government in the UK has deliberately, as an act of policy, made more difficult. So by putting up customs barriers, by putting up huge amounts of paperwork, when people who work in supply chains, they are no longer able to actually import, to be able to manufacture, then even possibly even then to re-export. So this is government policy. This doesn't affect, of course, other countries which aren't in this state. Now, one thing about any manufacturing process is this: the manufacturing process is extremely complicated as far as motorhomes are concerned. There are components, just in any motorhome will have components coming from literally hundreds of factories, and it's bringing all of this stuff together, and there are still problems related to COVID. Even you may think, well, that's COVID is now finished. The lockdown was 4 years ago, and more than 4 years ago, almost. And so this is all over now. But unfortunately, it isn't completely. So that clearly does bear a role in this situation. The next thing that is worth mentioning, I think, other than the supply chain, is that the demand has fallen. The reason demand has fallen is because, okay, everybody's now, first of all, everybody who could afford a huge amount of money to buy a motorhome's already bought one, and maybe, or tried to get one. We're now looking at higher interest rates. Now, interest rates affect cheaper motorhomes, because normally those have got, say, a couple of £100,000 euros or pounds or whatever to buy a motorhome are all paying cash, whereas those who need credit are those who need credit for the cheaper vehicles. And so that is where the problem is now. The interest rates have gone up, Added to this, there's a cost of living crisis in many areas. Again, the cost of living crisis, to a large extent, it was affected by the after effects of COVID, but also now we've got the problem of energy prices, which has been deliberately created by the regime in Russia. So, all of these things together are the reason why that somebody's look at a vehicle and say, and I see this in the comment section all the time, just about every single video I do comes up with a comment on the cost. It costs too much. I agree that if you look at the prices now and you compare them to what they were 5 or 6 years ago, and you can see this because I've been doing this now for a long time, you can compare, you can watch a video I did, say in 2018, listen to the price and then compare it to more or less the same vehicle, because there's not much difference in the vehicles today. Now, I do of course always say in all vehicles that the price means very little unless you've got to pay it, because it's what you're actually buying, and that is the thing. And that people often don't understand is that with some models, particularly at the higher end, it's all the extras that can push the price. I mean, in some cases it can get up by 3 times by having the amount of extras. So you've got €500,000 on a luxury motor, and it goes up to £1.5 million because it's got all this extra stuff on. And that happens with just about all vehicles. And I know you can say, well, there's a base price, but the thing is this, that the base price often doesn't even include things such as delivery or papers, and unless you can get it delivered, then how can you have... So these are the problems. Another thing that manufacturers have done is they've started including things which weren't included before, or not including things that were included before in the base. So the price is, it's always very, very difficult to interpret. Now, to come back to the point of the viewer made is, can you, if everybody stopped buying them, well, I mean, if everybody stopped buying just about anything, they'd bring the prices down. They can't, they don't have the margins. This is the problem. Despite these increases, the margins, I personally believe, are not actually there. Now, economics works on supply and demand, but as far as supply is concerned, one really important feature is the cost of production. And if the cost of the production is enormous, it doesn't matter really what the demand is, and what is going to affect the supply number one. There are times when there are products when the theoretical demand is actually, for the price that could be paid, is actually less than the cost of production. This can happen. So what is the solution? Says, I don't want just to give you the problems, I'm going to give you the solution. Well, I think there has been a drop in the cost of buying used vehicles. Now, this is something I even predicted in 2020, and I said it would hit in 2024, 2025. I said then, and there are videos which will prove this. And so there's people who bought the vehicles, and then they didn't realize they had to take out the sewage, and they didn't realize they had to go on looking for water, and they'd rather live in one of these very nice places that we have here on a campsite here. You'd rather go to something like that and have all the benefits that you've got to live it on being on the campsite, rather than have something which you can see there behind me. There's my van behind me, and so having to put up with all of these things, why not just go and live on a campsite, or stay on a campsite, or if you want, go to a hotel or whatever. Often there are people who say, well, it's cheaper to go to a hotel. Well, the answer to that is, then you're not a camper. Yeah, I agree, it is cheaper to go to a hotel. So, it's also cheaper to rent than to buy. The trouble is, if you rent, then you can't, all the extras, like, you know, I've got my vehicle here behind me is configured to me, and I couldn't do that if I rented. having said that, with some types of equipment, you know, for configuration, it's normally electrical supply, and that configuration, now we're getting more portable devices, but that's a subject for a different time. So there you go. Prices have increased. I think, I'm now speaking as someone with some experience in economics, but not as a person. I've run companies, but never one with as complicated a supply chain as you get on with a motorhome. But I'm going to predict that prices will now stabilize. There will be increases that happen, will be something similar to those related to inflation, because the increases that we've seen have been well above inflation. So that would be number one point. Now, returning to Elders, or Hymer UK, if you like, they said that their prices didn't increase in 2022, 2023, but they had these other. Why didn't they increase the prices? Well, as far as I can see, there's only one reason, if that is indeed the case. That's because they thought that they couldn't sell their vehicles, and that in turn might be something else, and that might be something they would want to actually look at. Okay then, so I'm here, Camp for You. I'll just turn this around. It's not to see me, so I'm here at the campsite. This is where I'm based at more than anything else. My other place, this is in Wrocław, or near Wrocław I should say, south-western Poland. So you've got this lovely look around, 8 o'clock, and well, it's not even 8 yet, in the morning. You can see the forest all around. We've got some retro camping here, and so this retro bit can be rented. We're having a 1980s do here next month, so it'll be handy for me because I'll be ready dressed for it, because I haven't bought any clothes since the 1980s. And the rest of the campsite up there has got some camping, I don't know what's happened, bungalows, that's the word, yeah, bungalows. And down here we're going to have a bungalow, or not, that's going to be a house in the process of being constructed. So there you go, there's a quick look around here as well. And yeah, toilet blocks up there, showers and what have you, and for the dumping your water and getting more water. It's all at the other end, as is the reception, etc. So thanks very much for being here today, and so I hope you found that of interest. And if you did, then you might want to subscribe. I upload every day at 21:15. But for the moment, from me at Camp for You near Wrocław, Poland, thanks for watching, and all the best. Bye for now.